Sio doi chu, do no khale da na da khalagi sketch lagi khanian. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you residing. This is Chief Eagle Spirit Dancing, aka Khalifa. Reporting to you today as a result of all the craziness and madness that's going on in the world we live in, that we all try to live in peace and harmony. I got a glitch. I got a glitch in the matrix. What's going on here? I don't know if it's the heat or something's going on. Yep. Yep, something is not right. Something ain't right. Start recording. Oh. My phone. They're overheating. I think it's overheating. That's what I like. Gotta get it. Come on. Come on. Got some technical difficulties here. All of a sudden my phone is not it's wow, not up to speed. Michael Dutka. Yeah, I'm having some trouble here. Good. Yep. Still having some I think my phone overheated. I'm good, Michael. No, my phone was overheating. I had to put it in front of the AC. I think that's what it was. The temperature was a little too high. So yeah. So I got it in front of the AC now. It looks like it might have restored it, brought the temperature down a little bit. Yeah. So I can't have it where it was because it's right in the windshield. So it would definitely be an issue if I did that. I'm gonna have to keep it and move myself so I can get in front of the camera here. Let me turn this down. So yeah, I want to say good morning. Hopefully my listening audience out there is having a day, thus far. And just thankful that I was able to, get up out of my bed and enjoy what the day has to offer us. From currently at work, but I have in between time, I have like a 5-hour break between I start work and I have to pick up later on in the afternoon. Yeah, so you can hear me good? Can you good, Mike? Yeah, I just want to make sure that everything is on point here. Um, my topic of discussion today is a little controversial, but if you know me, um, I don't shy away from controversy because when it comes to truth is controversial. And it could be like strange fruit to some people who don't appreciate the fact that whenever you have an issue or a problem, you in order for you to get to the root or solve that problem, you have to go to the truth, and sometimes you have to dig it up. An investigator, he has to do just that. He has to investigate what caused the problem, or incident, or whatever issues that are there, and to solve that problem, and deal with it with truth. And truth sometimes, again, can be very elusive. It can be very dangerous as well. But nonetheless, those who are truthful, even in the face of danger, do not shy away from it. That's my stance, and it basically always has been. Can you do the same? I subbed. I don't follow you. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to know audio. The audio was clear. So yeah, that is definitely a point of concern with me, especially in these days and times, as truth has been, run, from the presence of of those who are seeking truth, and because some of us are susceptible to lies, because when you live in a society such as this, we are inundated with overtures of deceit, lies, and fabrications of every kind. And because it's like when we go to social media and someone puts up an AI fabricated video, and sometimes you look at it and you say that's just beyond belief. And there's some people who have the common sense or clarity of thought to say, well, um, ridiculous, and there's no way that this can be real, and that there are other people. Yet there are other people asking on those sites who say, um, is this real? Or, oh my God, this I can't believe that just happened. When there are others who are sitting back saying, these people don't realize that this is AI generated, such as the case we have in the United States. And I give an example: the Trump dilemma that we are currently faced with, which has the country, and you look at the people who voted for him, and now you see the responses. People are saying, oh my God, I can't believe I voted for him. So, and a lot of people make um, uninformed responses to things. And I mean, particularly in the vote world, in the political arena, you can ask so many people, have you watched or listened to the things that this man was saying for so long, going back to the campaign in 2016? He told you who he was. And some people were comfortable with that. There are still some people who still support Trump, regardless of him being racist and amongst many other deplorable attributes that he possesses. That he is maniacal, he's a megalomaniac, and he's again a racist individual. And some people were comfortable with it. They didn't, as long as it didn't affect them. This is the issue that, hey, it's not bothering me. So as long as he goes after other people, and now these people are witnessing that he doesn't care about anyone. And I remember a video that Trump did, and I'm not here just to talk about Trump. This is just a pre to what I want to expound on. But many people who are now affected didn't expect him. But I said, didn't he tell you if his maybe some of them missed it? He told his audience, he says, I don't care about you, I just want your vote. Really? you know, and that should have been more or less, an eye opener. Maybe they didn't get the memo. I don't know, but the uh, I don't want to digress too much to what I was initially going to speak, which was the topic today was colorism, language, and ignorance. You know, the human family, which is not so human today. And what I mean by that is to be human means to be civilized, and even in the midst of your disagreements. And if we can't get along, what ultimately must be done? I'm a man of scripture. I've read the Bible, and I understand that the scriptures say that God had ultimately separated the people because they could not disagree without being ignorant or violent. And we've seen this throughout history. People have their disagreements, and sometimes they might fester for a little while, and then ultimately people start to fight. This is what we're witnessing now in this country. But the bottom line is overall is that America has been historically violent from its inception.
1, 8, 6, 0, 3,
And
9, 0, 0, 1, 4.
hold on one second. I got a call. Hold on one second. Hello? 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 Yeah. Oh, I can't talk right now. I'm sorry. Can't talk right now. Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah. So, that we were warned that we would only be separated because of our inability to be more civilized in our disagreeing. And their hate is a strong word to use with regards to agreements. But when you look at racism, what's at the root of racism? Usually it's jealousy, envy, and whatever else there is that would cause a person to have emotional hang-ups about someone who does not look like them. And fear is a contributing factor. An ethnically diverse population have its hang-ups about those people over there. And what I mean by this, I'm gonna lay it bare. And me myself being Black and Native American Indian, it comes with my own problems because most people look at me and think that I'm Hispanic. I don't subscribe to that, because that is a title and a label that has been imposed upon the indigenous peoples. And what I mean by that is the darker brown and Black indigenous peoples did not call themselves Hispanic. Remember something now, that the Latinos of today, the Hispanics, they say there's a difference. I've heard someone say the division between Hispanics and Latinos varied through language. And now I know in Spain, the Spanish speak what they call a more upper way of Spanish, and that in the Spanish conquered islands where the indigenous peoples live, the Tainos, the Arawaks, the Caribs, etc., most of the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and others who are of a dark hue mixed up with the Africans and whites. I know, because I come out of that. But I still come out with an identity shaped that of my forebearers who fought against those who would have destroyed me in terms of language, culture, and history, and all of the things that have made us who we are today. But you have to ask the question, has it made us any better? We have been turned into Hispanics. We have been turned into Indians. We have been turned into African black people. Tribalism, if you will. We have been divided. But it hasn't made us any better as a human species, a humanistic peoples. And again, human means the word human. Really, if you do the prefix hue means darker color or black, right? But it also from the word humane or human means civilized. To be humane means to be human, to be civilized, not the way we're acting today. So I don't want to digress with that. So getting back to the creation of our colorisms, language. Some of us speak English. In the Caribbean, we have language that is chopped up with, or you would refer to as slang, mixed with African and even indigenous languages. The word agua is not a word. It's just not. You say, what does that have to do with people, today? Because when you have a mixed language or words that are chopped up from your indigenous past, we gotta understand in the Spanish-speaking colonies, we gotta understand something. The Spaniards taught the indigenous peoples that lived there, they conquered, they taught them to hate their black and brown brothers, especially the lighter ones, almost the white-looking ones. They taught them to hate and that they were better. And then they wonder why the Hispanic, or whether Hispanic or Latino, they taught them to hate, again, their darker brothers and sisters. People wonder why today we are experiencing Hispanics that the ones with straight curly hair, they don't want to mix with black people who have kinky. I'm going to lay the truth bare today. They don't want to mix with those who have curly and kinky hair. All right, so they don't want to lose their identity, right? They want to stay with their fine hair. They've been told their hair is fine or whatever, and it looks prettier. And this is about vanity too. This is about, I don't want to have to do my daughter's hair. I don't know how to do that stuff. I don't know how to, manage that kind of hair. All right, fine. Then you have to choose who you deal with carefully. Then, if that's something that's deep within your heart, but you didn't express that when you hooked up with that black man, or vice versa. And then when you have a child, you thinking that because your genes were superior, you thought your child was going to come out with your hair. And in some cases it does, and some cases it doesn't. So you have a fear factor. And you got grandma, you taking your child, home to grandma. Now the grandma's at the baby side-eyed because the baby has kinky hair now, but speaks Spanish. This was all, today's based on yesterday and tomorrow's based on today. So if you don't learn what happened yesterday, what's going on today, you're not going to be able to deal with the realities of this hate and this racism comes from. So you can't uproot it. Because we're supposed to be human beings, right? We're supposed to be humane and civilized, right? Made in the image of God. That's the physical man. The physical man. But the spiritual man that God gave us, we've lost that. So this man has managed to uproot you from your spiritual connections with God. So all right, the identity issue here is that, and I've run into Hispanic Latinos who were racist in my life. Because they thought I was racist when they started speaking Spanish and always hear that word negra. And it wasn't said in a positive way. But I don't say all Hispanics or Latinos are like this. No, but there are quite a few that are out there that are. But again, we have to understand where the root causes of this is, and can it at this point in time be resolved? even with truth coming to surface? Can we bring about some measure of understanding with mixed families? I mean, when you look at what's going on today and social media, um, these things that are currently taking place were forewarned of, long before we were born. It's like a mathematical equation: E equals mc squared. 2 plus 2 is 4. You do the math. That you have to do the math on this one, because when you look historically how this thing was created, this confusion, this conflict, who created it? White people did. The Spaniards did. The Spanish were the ones who kicked off chattel slavery, right? The argument said, oh, there was slavery before, the Spaniard was, but it wasn't chattel slavery. Know the difference. The difference between indentured servitude and chattel slavery. I was telling my people, go do your homework. There's a huge difference. Yes, it did exist, but it wasn't under chattel. Chattel slavery was the worst form of slavery ever introduced or imposed upon a people anywhere on this planet. That is irrefutable and indisputable. So what do we have? We have a mess today, because that which was kept in the dark is finally surfacing. I'm 57, be 58 in a couple of months. I about this since I was very young. I was blessed to have been adopted, stolen away from my biological family. And again, I come from a family that is mixed, but I'm not mixed up. I want to be clear. I know who I am. I'm black and I'm native. People got problems with that title. See, black, but people don't understand about the term blackness. They keep saying Webster's dictionary says, what do they say? What dictionary says that black is meaningless, or it doesn't have any sway or reference to a people. Well, I'll go deeper than that. The term black is the root of all life. And if you understand it in its context relating to science and chemistry, if you can't understand what it means, then I would tell people to do your research, because everything in the universe that it produces comes from the darkness of space. I don't want to get too deep to that, but for me, my father is dark brown. My grandfather is black, dark skin. And so my father came from my grandfather, who was dark skinned. And I possess the spirit and understanding of the origins of men. We know, people got to know today that the original people were black. And if you don't know or understand that, well, when God said, look, let us create man. When the first man was created, was he not of the soil? And if he was of the soil, and he was, then what color was the soil? We don't see white soil produce anything that has nutrients that create anything. As a matter of fact, if you see white soil, it represents death, because there's no nutrients there. So that the original man had to have been black. I have no problems with that. Again, I'm like what you call a lone wolf today, because there's some people who don't like the fact that I've claimed that I am a black Indian. They say that doesn't make sense. Well, when you look at the world that we are in today, much of this world doesn't make sense. You look at the visions that are being created. If you understand who are creating those divisions, then that makes sense in terms of identifying those who are responsible for the death and destruction of our people. So if we weren't here today to try to break up and analyze the truth for what it is, and that's going to the source of the problem. We know what the source of the problem was. We know what happened to our people. It was at one time we didn't need to call ourselves black or brown or even red peoples. We never really called ourselves red indigenous peoples, black indigenous peoples, brown indigenous peoples. Why? Why didn't we not refer to ourselves as colorful identities? As not saying it's wrong, anything wrong with it, because many of us are using these colors today. I got no problems with my red indigenous brothers who want to call themselves red, or brown, or black. I ain't got no problems with none of them. But some people take offense to this. What should be more important issue is identifying ourselves on the least common denominator, because some of us are so foolish in our divisions that we can't, and this is what our enemies are hoping and praying for, that we cannot unite on the least common denominator in trade and business and commerce, while this man is engaged in all of those. As a matter of fact, we're so behind in business, probably take another 100 years for us to get this dilemma, but we're not going to come out of it being divided over superficial issues. Because I say I'm this, you say you're that, you say you're this. Doesn't make any sense. What does this have to do with the divisions of Spanish, Latinos, Hispanics? Because most of these people are of indigenous and black descent. There are even some black and brown Hispanics. I mean, the word Spanish, you speak another language. You're a bum. Man, get off my page then. And come say that to my face. I'm from the Bronx. I don't play that. You can say what you want, homeboy. Yeah, right. That's right. Get off my goddamn page, Friendly Joe. The hell with you. Anyway, excuse me. Yeah, are you confused about your race? Man, you know what? I'm from God. I'm directly from God himself. You understand what I'm saying? There's no confusion here. Don't you get off my page, man. Get off my page. I address to tell you where I live. You want that smoke? You know me, yo. You don't know me. I'm a grown man. I got a family. Kids. Grown kids at that. So don't play with me. Friendly Joe. You probably a CIA troll. I ain't scared of you, man. This empire is falling anyway. You see those UFOs that they seeing? You see those UFOs that they seeing? You see those UFOs that they seeing? You think that's the gun or aliens? No, G, that's my God who's here. Go read your Bible. To back. That's my God who's here to come deal with you, people like you. I'm like work. You don't know who I am. You don't know me. You don't know me. You said, calm down, little boy. Your mother's a little boy. Anyway, what I'm saying here, you see how the truth and the devil comes out? He wants to sit here and try to distract me from what I'm talking about here. Because those who do not like or are not of the truth rebuke the truth. See, some of these people are no different than the people of 2,000 years ago from our brother Yeshua, who they call Jesus Christ, 2,000 years ago. They rebuked him because he spoke the truth, and the truth bothered them because there was no truth in them. And that's in the books. Instead of this guy coming on here and asking me a question about what I'm saying, he wants to be and attack me. But that's all right though, because I understand that we are living in the last days of this empire, and he has no clue as to what's coming. He has no clue when the ground starts shaking underneath his feet. Oh, you're gonna remember this conversation. These that are taking place across the country. Yeah, indeed. But he called me on one of those days where I'm letting off through the spirit, because God flows through me from time to time. And I'm also going through some personal issues like many other people. So when I see trolls like this come, I gotta respond. You know what I'm saying? I gotta respond. So, but yeah, so like I wanted to get one point. But thank you, Yeshua. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So yeah, the problem that persists within our you come to they go to the Bronx. I'll be down there. I'll be there this weekend. So the problem that persists with the divisions will be the end of us all. We can listen. We cannot get along with each other, but be civilized about it. That's a part of human nature. Sitting at the table and realizing that, okay, look, maybe we have to draw boundaries here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the people have to be separated before they come blows. We have had, don't act like we haven't had conflicts and wars with our people in the past. We have. We've never had any world wars, but we've had conflicts and we've had fights. But how do we settle things peaceably? Right? Sitting at the table talking to one another, voicing and expressing our concerns, our fears. See, fear, I'll say it again, fear is usually the mother root of all issues concerning the human being, because from fear flows negativity. That's why Brother Yeshua said 2,000 years ago, for the fearful shall have their part in the lake of fire. So therefore we must use our collective consciousness from our ancestors and that which we have learned from past history, that we should not make the same mistakes over and over again that our forefathers did. And why we are currently in the predicament that we are in today. Giving an example, so many of our indigenous brothers and sisters did not want to unite themselves because they had different ideologies, cultures. Some were influenced and poisoned by the Europeans that came over to whispering in their ears and telling them this, that, other, saying, those brothers over there, those tribes over there, they don't like, don't get along. Or we had past, problems, whether it was political problems, with resources, whatever the case may have been, and that because of that we did not unite, and our division as today. This man knew we were divided, and he said, "Yeah, we got them now. We got them now." So, you're understanding that these same divisions that caused us to lose the entire country. We lost the entire country as a result. But the bigger issue wasn't just losing the country. What did they do to us? Well, how many of us are fluent in native languages anymore? And I'm not talking about indigenous here. Throughout the diaspora, whether it's from Africa, South America, Central America, we speak someone else's language. Do we not speak English? We're not from England. Do we not speak Spanish? We're not from Spain. Come on. So if that means that we speak in a language and that we have an identity and a thought process that's not our own. Therefore, hence you got Spanish people running around talking about the darker black peoples, and other ethnic groups who have been brainwashed. So now your mind and your programming and thought process has been one of a negative and destructive nature. So therefore now those that are playing puppet master are behind the scenes, and of course, like this troll over here, Mr. Friendly Joe, his name is, on here, trying to interrupt my message with regards to what our people need to do to wake from this soon to be a nightmare if we're not killed. Because this is what was prophesied that these days would come about long before any of us were born, long before any people on this planet cared to know. And because of ignorance and the lack of gnosis or knowledge, many of us who don't study, who don't read, individually or collectively as a people, we fall into the same traps that our forebearers fell into, and therefore we are headed down the same path of death and destruction. We are on our last. Well, we got microseconds, bro. And the thing is that the God that I know, this is what really, because I know who God is, and I don't not only know who He is, I know where He is. I know where my God is. I could point it out. I was telling this fool on here. He don't know who he playing with. Don't know who he playing with. When a man that is trying to bring truth, morality, and just to expose that which has been missing from our people, which is basically truth and a true historical context of what really happened to us, what steps that we can do to change the way we behave as a people. In other words, they said what? Kill the Indian man, right? Kill the Indian, save the man. And then with the black man, because I speak from both sides. You gotta understand, we family. We family. We suffered the same injustice under this European monster for the past 500 years. And these peoples who have conscience and can see that it wasn't the Muslims, it wasn't black people that came over here in droves or on ships to come over here and conquer. It was the Europeans who came over here to conquer the darker peoples. As a matter of fact, where he went, he destroyed the darker peoples on the planet. That is not just basic what fiction. That's a fact. It's a fact. So we have to understand, and in order for us to move ahead, and this is what's hurting my heart, because so many of us are arguing that I see on social media that we are missing the bigger picture here. We must come out of her. So being that we were converted, we were changed through language and the corruption of their public school system, boarding schools, public school system, boarding schools, that we don't know the humanity we once carried, and that how we were able to work together. Now, let me give you an example. When Osceola from the Seminoles, right, saw that the white man was bringing in a people from Africa, and that they were being treated like beasts, and some of them fled down into the Everglades of Florida and found some relief, and he took them in with no malice in his heart, and cohabitate amongst the Seminoles. I'm going to tell y'all something. The original Seminoles was black. So what? They had straight hair. Some of them had curly hair. So what? They were black people. They had melanin. And you mean to sit here and tell me that the darker Africans that were being kidnapped, brought over here to the shores of North America, they didn't see similarity? They said the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You think that the Seminoles, some of them did not know that the white man was going to only try to come into Florida and remove them? So they allied forces. And to this day, not saying that the Seminoles have not been compromised. They have. Like all indigenous tribes have been compromised today. Just about. A lot of them let more white folks into their circle. And I hate to say this, because there have been some good white people who have entered into the circles of the indigenous family. But some have entered in with ulterior motives and caused problems, and then have the nerve to sit there and whisper in the ears of the darker indigenous and tell them, you can't let these niggas, can't let these N-words, into our circles. You can't let this and that and the other. When Osceola, and the reason Osceola allowed is because of the humanity that was in him. He didn't look at it as some economic advantage, or for an opportunity for growth or development. He looked at it as a humanitarian, a human being. And the white man wasn't too happy about that. And of course, he threatened Osceola and said, if you don't give up the slaves, we're coming for you. He said, I'm not giving up not one over my dead body. And of course, the Seminole Wars started against the Europeans, the so-called Americans. And that conflict lasted, I believe, from maybe the 1817 all the way up to the 1850s. The long Seminole War, until the American government said, uncle, yeah, Mr. Joe, your government said uncle and gave up. And they ultimately departed because it cost, I believe at that time, it must have cost the American government somewhere like $20 to $30 million. Today probably would have been over like 60 or 70 million in today's money. So we have to understand that these instances of history that took place, and they did, is a glaring reminder that if we're not careful in dealing with mentalities now, programming, from black all the way to white, see all of this confusion we have? Sad, sad, and all a byproduct of European influence and division, which cannot be disputed. So if we can understand, we must be careful on how we move. The Latino population, the Hispanic population, has to understand its true nationality, indigenous peoples. But really, you're only Hispanic Latino in language. You're not from Spain. And the reasons why many of you think that way is because the Spanish told you that you were better than your darker brothers and sisters. Told you that you were better. And because of your hair, your light complexion, you said, yeah, I'm better. You didn't dispute it. You wanted to be a part of the power play. And now Trump is in office. All of you that voted for him, what is he doing? What is he doing? He's turned his backs on you. Sad. It's sad. You look. Just like in Israel, Palestine, with the war, that area will never have peace. And why? Because you'll never have peace in a land that is occupied and stolen. Is America exempt from that? When you look at the inception of this country from its origin, this country was born in violence. Was not Israel was stolen from the Palestinians? Was that not born in violence? So what do we have today here in America? The pot is boiling. My job is to try to break up some of that heat with wisdom, my knowledge that I have, and hopefully those who have the heart, we can start to open forums to sit down and talk to each other, that we may get to know one another better. And getting to know one another doesn't mean the food that you cook in your household, although that's all right. But getting to know one another is, how did we get here? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened to our people. Let's look at the more important issues that would avert a catastrophe that is and has been warned of or prophesied about, that we would be able to avert historical prophecies against that which would kill many of our people, because of race war. That's exactly where we're headed. Race, culture, whatever you want to call it, ethnicity conflicts, all of these things that are currently looked at, because there has been so much hate embedded within this country from its beginning. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Or is there an intermediary or something that would come in between that and say, like a referee, break it up. All right, let's talk about this. Let's try to avoid a major problem, major conflict. And the social media, you're seeing exactly what is a possibility that people will start. And we already, there was this little Spanish 11-year-old girl who was bullied at school. And the bullies were telling her that that her family was going to get deported. The little girl killed herself. 11 years old. I mean, we already, all of the school shootings that are taking place are getting worse by day. We already headed towards violence. So the scripture says that right before that city on a shining hill shall be destroyed, the violence would increase before its end. That's what's going on in this country. So if cooler heads do not prevail, more spiritual, moral leaders do not intervene, interject to carefully deal with that which is like a weed that's growing, that's gonna like a chokehold around us. So this has to be talked about in circles instead of our people. You starting to hear some of our own people. Get them out. You know, get them out. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, look, no, I'm talking to black people now. I want to hear this. How far have you traced your roots back in your family? Can you go over 1,000 years that you've traced? Where have you traced your lineage? We got DNA now. They're saying, all right, if you ever noticed, and I want to put this one out real carefully, most of the DNA testing are doing, they are saying that most black people are coming from Ghana and Nigeria, right? And that is true to some cases. Some cases they don't know that there was an initial withdrawal of the greatest arts and minds that were kidnapped from what's called Egypt today, formerly known as Kemet. How many black people do you hear were kidnapped or enslaved from what's called Egypt today? You don't hear it. You don't hear it. Why? The white man does not want, I want y'all to remember this, he does not want black people to connect their roots back to Kemet or Egypt. Why? Why? The builders of the Capitol, Benjamin Banneker, a black man, about 5'3", 5'2", somewhere around there, black man, designed the Capitol. Black men built the White House. Mr. who your Trump lives in, black people built. Now you mean to tell me that people who were spear chucking in Africa some of them lived in mud huts. They came over here and designed and built and the White House and the Treasury Department? I don't think so. Somebody lying. He's going to be the last president. Ain't going to be no more presidents after him. 9 times out of 10 says that. There's only one way that this Trumpster is going to stay in office, is if he humbles himself before God, because it's written in the book of Exodus. Go read it, Mr. Joe. It's written of. But see, you wouldn't know that, because I can see you haven't read much of anything. So anyway, why is it that most black people are being taught that we only come, again, Ghana, Nigeria, maybe Gambia, and don't get me wrong, some were kidnapped from these tribal communities, but the initial withdrawal came from Egypt, and these people were scholars. They were scientists, engineers. The reason why this white man doesn't want most people to know this is because he wants to maintain white supremacy. It's just that simple. And what are they doing now in Washington? People were sitting back wondering what's wrong. Oh, I can't believe that they're doing these things. And please, he's always been like that. And now you have these good white people who are upset and outraged. They can't believe it. Well, if you're so good, get up and fight. Get up and fight if you're so good. Because what good is it if you allow evil to maintain itself and fester, that it would poison others? If it's so, boy, still yapping. So these things have to be spoken on. They must be addressed. I fear no man. I fear no man, because my God is with me and he's here. So, these trials, these tribulations must come to pass. Now, for good people who are against evil, if you're choked with fear, then what good is that you have in your heart? Sometimes you must be put up against the wall to see what are you going to do. If you're really going to stand up against imperialism, racism, These things, man will be tested. All of us will be tested. And this is something that needs to be, again, addressed, looked at, talked about more, and there must be behind it. So yeah, basically that's all I wanted to deal with. The colorism, language, culture, ignorance is a major topic, a major priority that many of us need to examine, because if we don't, we will be at the gates of hell soon. And we are more than, I'd say, about 3/4 of the way there now. Time is running out. And to that, I say to peoples, Donada, Gohoni, Nigido, and blessings. And until we meet again.